Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Faheem, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us on the Lightning Strike. Good Sunday morning. It's finally the rain has stopped in the Chicagoland area. If you are in other parts of the country, I don't know what is happening, but climate change is real, okay? So we need to keep thinking about those things. But today on the Lightning Strike, I want to talk about something that has been bothering me for a while now, and it should bother you too, okay? It is about when the algorithm becomes the editor. Okay, this is the Lightning Strike, and today let's talk about something that may determine the future of our democracy. Not the next election, not the next war, not the next political scandal. I want to talk about who controls the information we receive. Because independent media is increasingly in the crosshairs, folks. We had our third anniversary dinner on last Wednesday on July 29th, and there was a panel discussion on the importance of independent media. So I wanted to jump off of that in the monologue today. Independent media is being challenged by political power. Every single day. It is being squeezed by corporate media. It's being buried by social media algorithms. And now it faces a new disruption that may change journalism forever. Artificial intelligence. For generations now, journalism followed a basic model. Like when I went to school, that's what we learned. A reporter investigated, a journalist asked questions, an editor checked the facts, a news organization published the story, and the public decided what it meant. The system was never perfect. Media organizations had biases, corporate owners had interests, important stories usually were discussed and sometimes they were brushed under the rug. Political influence existed. Important stories most often ignored, right? But journalism still required human beings to go into communities, develop sources, attend public meetings, examine documents, challenge powerful people, and ask questions that made those in authority uncomfortable. Today, that model is being dismantled. The newsroom is shrinking. Look at what happened recently with WGN over here, Channel 9, right, in Chicagoland area. Company comes out of Texas, Nexstar Media or whatever swoops in, fires the top 9 on-air personalities overnight. No chance given to even talk about things. The local newspaper is disappearing. When was the last time that you had a local newspaper that you read? Experienced reporters are being replaced by automated systems, and the public is increasingly receiving information through algorithms designed not to inform us, but to keep us watching. That distinction may be the most important issue in modern media. The purpose of journalism is supposed to be public service, like what we are trying to do over here. The purpose of an algorithm is engagement. Journalism asks questions. What does the public need to know? The algorithm asks, what will keep people scrolling? What will make them stop scrolling? Those are not the same questions. One serves democracy, the other serves the business model. And when clicks become more valuable than truth, folks, outrage becomes more profitable than understanding. The loudest voice wins. The most shocking headline wins. The most emotional video wins. And Complicated facts are pushed aside because complexity does not always generate likes. We are entering an era when news is increasingly selected by machines that do not understand justice. They do not understand history. They do not understand human suffering. They do not understand democracy. They understand data. They measure attention. They calculate engagement. They predict what will keep you online. And then they give you more of it. The result is not necessarily an informed public, it is an addicted audience. According to Reuters Institute, when I was researching information for this rant of mine, social media and video platforms have become the leading pathway to news for many Americans, surpassing traditional television and news websites. The same research shows that AI chatbots are emerging as another source of news, particularly among younger people. Think about what that means. The newspaper is no longer the front door to information. The evening news is no longer the front door. The radio station is no longer the front door. The algorithm is the front door. And the algorithm decides what you see before you decide what to believe. That's why political parties now are spending billions, millions on social media. But there is another danger over here. Artificial intelligence is not simply changing how journalism is distributed. It is changing how journalism is produced. AI can summarize a press release and a press conference like in seconds. It can transcribe an interview, it can translate a story, it can search thousands of pages of documents, it can generate headlines. Heck, it can even produce articles at a speed no human newsroom can match. These tools can be useful, right? They can help independent producers do more with fewer resources. We use AI when we are researching things for our lightning strike articles and stuff. They can help small news organizations like ours compete with large companies, right? No doubt about that. They can make information more accessible. They can translate reporting into multiple languages. They can assist journalists in analyzing data and identifying patterns. AI may become one of the greatest tools ever created for independent media. But there is a difference between using AI as a tool and allowing AI to replace the journalist. A machine can summarize a city council meeting. But can it walk into a neighborhood and understand why people are afraid? Can it sit with a grieving family? Can it recognize when a politician is avoiding a question? Can it build trust with a whistleblower? Can it understand the difference between a legal answer and the truth? Can it exercise moral judgment? There's so many layers to this, folks. Can it decide that a story matters even when it will not generate a single click? Think about it. And the answer is no. Artificial intelligence can process information, but journalism requires human judgment. At the Lightning Strike here, we meet every Friday and decide what is happening and what we need to cover, who is saying what, and what can we highlight on the show. We just don't let an algorithm decide, yeah, this is what the show is going to be on Sunday. So when we remove human beings from the process, we risk creating a media system filled with content but empty of accountability. We may have more information than ever before and less understanding, more headlines and less truth, more videos and less context, more content and fewer journalists. That is the crisis. But independent media also faces another challenge: political pressure. Governments have always tried to influence the press. Power does not like scrutiny. Politicians become friendly overnight if they see that there's friendly coverage. But they often attack journalists who ask difficult questions. They call critical reporting biased. Look at what our president does whenever he is sitting in front of reporters. He's calling them names. He's calling people, piggy and shiggy and all those kind of things. They dismiss inconvenient facts and they attempt to discredit reporters rather than answer the questions being asked. And increasingly, political leaders are learning that they can bypass journalists entirely. Why sit down with an independent reporter when you can speak directly to millions of followers on Truth on Social? Why answer difficult questions when you can post a video? Why participate in an interview when you can appear on a friendly podcast? Why face scrutiny when you can build your own media ecosystem? So, I wanted to finish off on that. I usually try to go between 8 to 10 minutes on my rant. There is a lot more. You can read the full rant on my Substack. Go to TLS820host at Substack and read the full article that I posted last night so that you can join the conversation. Joining the conversation today is the rest of our team. Chris Hilbert. Chris, thank you for joining. Ms. Hernandez is joining us from today on the Lightning Strike, folks. Ms. would be working on actually contacting you to get your message on the radio now. We will take these messages, small advertisements from small and medium businesses, no corporate businesses, and Ms. would be leading that effort. Also joining us today is Andrew Herrera. Good morning, Andrew. Okay, good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
And Mike finally joined us from another another portion of the world now.
My new studio.
Your new studio. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so
Morning.
8:17, and we need some input from you guys on what my rant was as soon as I shut down over here. So, what do you guys think? Let's start with
Totally.
our guest Andrew today.
Um, well, I agree. I was born in 1989, and since I was born, I think we've lost something like 80% plus of our newsroom jobs.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my first career was in public relations, and every year we would go through our media list and have to delete like 8% of the people on the media list because reporters were moving out. Many of them were moving out to PR jobs. And so back then, so maybe like 2018, already it was true that Jeff Bezos, who owned the Washington Post, employed more PR professionals than he employed reporters, and he owned the Washington Post. Um,
Wow.
and so you look at all those things, and particularly with AI, I think one of the difficult things is so before AI, something like 40% of news stories started with a PR pitch, right?
Mhm.
Um, and now it's really difficult to tell the provenance of a story, of information. And so, people used to look at the news to orient themselves within their reality. And now people are asking AI for that same sort of thing. And there's two problems with that. One, you don't get like the little league scores. You don't find information that you weren't looking for on AI, right?
Mhm.
And that information is community making information. Everyone shares a certain reality. And now with AI and with all this kind of custom algorithms, everyone lives in their own little bubble.
Yep.
And it's
And
difficult.
Andrew, I worked for a while, a long time back, 1983, 84, in the newsroom of the Daily Herald in the Northwest suburbs.
Mhm.
And my assignment was to cover city council meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could actually sit in the city council meeting, see what is happening, read the agenda, and ask questions if needed and get the information. AI will just go read the agenda that is published and come up with its own take on what the city council was discussing. Chris, let me get your input on this.
Well, I like what you had to say. It's so very true. I am I have been basically not trusting the media since Reagan. When I saw how how they manipulate people with the headlines, and that is my biggest beef is the headlines. And then within the story, they seem to call out certain minorities when there's a crime, and they'll use their some identifying characteristic, usually their skin color, but it only goes one way, right? And if it's somebody they like, they don't mention the skin color. But if it's somebody they don't like, then they mention Hispanic or black or whatever. But it's
Hmm.
never mentioned that it was a white person who did the worst of the crimes, you
Yep.
know? So the whole thing has started under Reagan, and it's just gotten progressively worse. And that kind of manipulation and hate, frankly, is now showing up in AI. AI is not neutral at all. There's a huge bias running through AI. So that's my take on it.
Okay, 8:21 folks, and this is the Lightning Strike. You're tuned in to at WCPT 8:20 a.m. in the Chicagoland area. Online, we are live on Facebook. We are also live on the heartlandsignal.com website worldwide. In today's episode, we are going to have our District Watch episode starting at 8:30, and we have Lynn Cassie Maher joining us as our District Watch correspondent. And also at 8:45, we have Dr. Salman Sagarwala and Dr. Ahmad from the Pain and Vascular Institute talking about the latest things that are happening in the medical world as far as getting pain rid from you. Okay, I don't know how even I'm just bumbling over my over my tongue today. And in the second hour, we'll have former Congresswoman Marie Newman, our regular co-host on the second hour, joining us with an interview with Alderman Daniel Laspata. Marie also wants to talk about housing, the ICE block, and immigration. And at 9:30, we have attorney Maria Muzaffar joining us with her breaking the echo chamber segment, and then we'll continue the conversations over here. Also today, we have brought in Ms. Hernandez into our team. Ms. would be taking care of any kind of advertisements and promotions that you want to get on the show over here. We had a semi-successful fundraising dinner. Still, people are not understanding the importance of independent media, and there is a lot of people came up to us and said, "Hey, why don't you start taking
Within Illinois, almost
Hey, why did you come in within Illinois almost? Come on, Dylan, you just jumped in between, man." Okay.
Yeah, Dylan, what are you doing?
Uh,
Okay. Dylan is sitting in the studio and saying, within Illinois, almost. Yes, I agree with you, Dylan. Within Illinois, almost every newsroom has been decimated. Okay. But jokes aside, if you want to get on the show as a small and medium business advertiser only, we are not going to take corporate advertising, okay? And no APAC, please just stay away from us. You can reach you can reach Ms. at Ms. Miz at tlsradio.com. And if you want to join the conversation today over here, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. This is our segment on what's on your mind, and it is sponsored by Ray Hanania, our good friend of Hanania.com. Also, starting from today, we have got attorney Riz Ali coming back onto the show. Riz is a personal injury lawyer. That's all he specializes in, personal injury. So if you get into an accident or someone gets into an accident with you, Riz Ali would be the guy to call. Okay, and we will have a complete commercial back from Riz that we actually used last time. So we're going to replay that for you so you get to know his contact information. Also want to talk about the Halal Fest that is coming up. Okay, and speaking of that, here is a message from the organizers of the Halal Fest. Let's see what they have to say.
Looking for the ultimate family weekend this summer?
Join us at Chicagoland Halal Fest 2026, August 8th and 9th at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles. Enjoy incredible halal food from nearly 40 vendors, live entertainment, shopping, a kids zone, camel and pony rides, networking, family activities, and much more. With over 25,000 attendees expected, this is one of the Midwest's premier multicultural festivals, welcoming people of all backgrounds. Get your tickets today at thehalalgroup.com. That's TheHalalGRP.com. The Lightning Strike is proud to be a sponsor of Chicagoland Halal Fest 2026. We'll see you there.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you.
Is that
Specializing
a
in
new
auto
commercial?
accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
So those are a couple of quick messages on the radio today to keep the radio going. Because remember, we got to pay for this time. WCPT does not give us the time for free, okay? And we went back to helping out some of the friends that we have. And also, especially if you're running for office, contact Mike Patino. Mike will let you know what it is going to be and how do you get on the radio with us to get your message across. And we have a number of listeners across the country now. Speaking of that, 8:27, I think we might go a little bit early into our District Watch segment because our correspondents are here. Lynn Casey Maher is joining us for
Maggie Wonderly.
and we have got Maggie Wonderly. Maggie, thank you so much for coming to the dinner. How did you like what we were doing over there?
Oh, it was great. It was a great time.
And you got to meet, Chris Hilbert. Chris actually
Yes.
flew up from all the way from Euless, Texas, and now she's got a lightning strike hat on her head.
Woohoo! I'm all official and stuff.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And we were talking, even Maggie, that you saw the panel discussion that we had about the importance of independent media and how these algorithms are coming in and taking over all the messaging for people. And I will let Mike and Chris take it over from here to talk about our District Watch segment and what we are trying to accomplish for our listeners with that. You guys want to say what it is about and then welcome our guests?
Sure thing. Welcome, Maggie and Lynn. We're so glad that you're here. Maggie, it was wonderful to meet you at the event Wednesday, the fundraiser. I agree with you. It was a really good turnout and the food was wonderful. And we're thankful that you are here. Maggie is the president of the Illinois Progressives, not president, excuse me, chair. And
I want to stop you right there.
yes.
Maggie, do you have 4 legs?
No.
She just said you are the chair.
Yeah, that's what her title is. It says chair, Illinois Progressives.
Okay.
You are on top of things today, Mohammed. I must
He's on a
say.
roll. He's on a roll today.
Chairperson. The
Okay,
chairperson.
chairperson. Okay.
The chairperson. Oh, goodness. And here at District Watch, we like to talk to quite a variety of people, find out what's going on in their little corner of the world and their successes, what they're struggling with, what's coming up. And so we're glad that Maggie and Lynn are here today. Mike, would you like to say anything?
I just want to welcome Maggie. I've been working with her for sometime since I moved here. Believe it or not, I met Lynn at a Bernie event like 10 years ago.
Woohoo, Bernie!
And it was great. And
Hey, I was there. That was at the what do you call it?
McCormick Place.
McCormick Place, right? Yeah.
Yes, Chris and I explored the McCormick Place the other day.
We
I
did.
was sitting right there in the press section, sir.
Yes,
But we didn't know each other then.
Chris and I were underneath the buildings, but that's another.
Okay.
But yeah, I just sat down with Lynn, and we started talking, and we stayed in touch ever since. And when I moved to Illinois, um, she was going gangbusters with her progressive advocacy here in the area, and they got merged, just had a merger with another state PAC organization, and just so glad to see you on the show, Lynn. How you doing?
Thank you. Very well, very well. Thank you so much.
Well, why don't you, could you and Maggie just tell us a little bit of what you're doing down there at the Illinois Progressives, please?
Okay, so basically, you did set it up there. We recently merged with two other groups, the DuPage Progressive Alliance and Progressives of Kane County. And we all started with the Bernie campaign, except for some of us who've been doing this for decades, some of our members. And so we're all like-minded, and we decided to join efforts, and we're expanding what we're doing across the state. So and this weekend we're canvassing and phone banking for Abdul El Sayed. We got together and with a lot of other groups and also with elected officials. I could give you a bit of a summary of what's been going on this weekend. Saturday, Mayor John Lesh called and gave us an update, and he was canvassing there with our group. And he said that the response at the doors for Abdul is really great. And, there was hardly anyone for Haley where he was going. And on Sunday, they're going to have Abdul Nasser Rashid is gonna be there today. And then also Junaid Ahmed, who ran for Congress in the 8th District. And they're going to be leading things over there today. And then we're doing phone banking all the way up through Tuesday.
Maggie, our group Impact, the Illinois Muslims Political Action Committee, and ILMAN, the Illinois Muslims Action Network, all of them are in Michigan right now as we speak. I was supposed to go out there to go with the groups, but hey, I got the show to do, so I said I will talk about it, but you guys go ahead. And Abdul has, in the latest polls, he is ahead of Staley, and I don't know, man. I mean, that woman, she is, folks, APAC and the other corporate PACs have spent close to $60 million in a Senate race in Michigan. That should tell you where our country is headed and who is trying to buy our politicians. And Abdul is fighting back against that. Every single interview that you have heard from him, he says, hey, I don't want my money to go to kill innocent children overseas. I want my money to stay for Michiganders over here in Michigan. Improve the roads, improve the infrastructure, improve all the things that needed to be improved right here at home. We have spent over $37 billion in the Iran-Iraq war so far. Not to count.
Yes, and we know how money talks. And Lynn was involved with Junaid's campaign here, and both Maggie and the Illinois Progressives. And we saw what $8 million did for Melissa Bean, right?
Yep.
So, it's
so
amazing.
I just wanted to jump in and let you guys know that, we are all part of it, not just the progressive Maggie. It is our country. We have to take it back. So you guys continue the conversation.
Okay. Well, Lynn, how you doing?
Doing very well, doing very well. I think one of the great things about Illinois Progressives is that it has people working outside the party and people working inside the party. And that makes it, gives us a wider base on how we can support our candidates because it takes both sides. I mean, that's something that, we heard Bernie say 10 years ago, right, Mike? Get in the party and change the party. So, I'm also a chair of my township and helping with local candidates so that we can flip some of these Republican seats here. So, and Maggie with Illinois Progressives, we have are endorsing candidates one by one. They're all on our website, illinoisprogressives.org, and you can check them out there. But I think it's important for us to look at these local races as well as the larger races.
Yeah, and Lynn is she's kind of humble a little bit, and she's been a very powerful force in DuPage County, and she ran for the chair of the DuPage Democratic Party. And unfortunately, you didn't make it this time, and I'd love to see you go at it again, but I know how that is.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, Maggie and I both ran as chair and vice chair. That's a tough nut to crack there. A lot of establishment type people enjoy running the county party. But I feel fortunate that in my township I do have a lot of progressives and I can run my township the way we see fit, that support the people that we want to support.
Yes, Chris had, I know she talked to Maggie and she might have some some issues to follow up on. Chris, you got something that you want to chime in here?
Sure. Yeah, it was really great having a one-on-one in person with Maggie Wednesday, like I said earlier. Maggie, what kind of goals do you have once we get past this election? I know this election is really important for a lot of people in a lot of many different ways. Do you have anything that you would like to do after this election is over and in preparation for 2028? Or are you going to just kind of stay more local for the time being in 2027? Do you have any plans you can let us know in on?
Okay. Well, first of all, we're already gearing up for 2027 for the local elections, and most of what we do is local. So that is a big focus for us, and we tend to focus on the most progressive candidates. We don't endorse in every single race. We endorse, and we tend to endorse the ones that need help, not the ones that are just going to skate to a victory because they're an
Right.
incumbent.
Is there a process that you have to endorse people, candidates, I should
Yes.
say?
Yes. So basically, we have a questionnaire. It's a pretty lengthy questionnaire that we fill out to make sure they're aligning with our values.
Good.
And then, our board looks over all the questionnaires, and if we think that a race is worth our time to invest in, we put that up to our membership, and our membership gets to decide, and it has to be a two-thirds majority vote for someone to get endorsed.
Wow.
And we did that to make sure that the group is behind them as a whole.
Right.
Um, so we have had cases where we've had less than that. So we've kind of had to say we've done a dual endorsement in the past or just not endorsed, based on that. And we actually do ranked choice voting.
Oh,
Yeah, so we do
lovely.
ranked choice, and then they need to get a two-thirds out of the ranked choice. So
Wow. That is very progressive doing ranked choice in a club. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
just
yeah.
gobsmacked with that idea. That's pretty cool. Uh, is there anybody running or that you would like to see run locally or in your local area that needs a little bit of encouragement to step outside of their little box and take a handle and go with that you think would be a good candidate and could do a good job? that you're willing to
Well,
say? I know you can't really necessarily call out everybody, but you know, it maybe they just need a little bit of encouragement because we're always looking for good people, right?
Um, so I don't want to put I don't want to put anyone on the spot who hasn't
Right.
decided to run. And we're not doing our municipal endorsements yet. We are kind of talking to several people, but we aren't doing endorsements yet, so I don't really want to put anyone out there. We could talk about the candidates that we're supporting for like the general election.
Sure.
Oh, that'd be
If you'd
good.
like.
Yeah.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are supporting Paul Nolly, who is running for the 16th congressional district. And he's trying to flip that Republican seat from Darren LaHood. He's a working class guy. He works in some nonprofits that deal with like apprenticeships and unions and that sort of a thing.
Oh.
And he is very pro-Palestine and outspoken about what's going on there. And we did back a whole slew of candidates in the primary for Congress, but unfortunately, this wave that we are seeing with these like progressive and democratic socialist candidates winning, it's like Illinois was behind the curve.
Right.
I feel like I kind of feel like Illinois tends to be behind the curve a lot. It's unfortunate. I think part of it is we have like a machine state.
Yes, definitely.
And part of it's just the timing. I think maybe they saw what happened here with all the money flooding in from APEC, and they were just like, we can't let that happen. I think they stepped it up in the other states. But we had so many running at once too. So like, I think that might have divided the volunteers up because we had so many running in so many districts. So
Maggie, we have had Paul Nolly as a guest on the show. And Darren, it should not be, the last name should be The Hood, not La Hood, okay? I mean, going back, if you look at the family history of the Hoods, yeah, they've been, the hooding their thing for a while now. We got about 3 minutes to finish off the segment over here. We have got our guest waiting in the waiting room over here. Dr. Samir Sagarwala will be joining us at 8:45. Along with another doctor in his group to talk about pain management. So we got roughly 3 minutes to finish off the segment. You guys carry on.
okay, so if we got 3 minutes, I just want to make sure that we have a plug in for our fundraiser that is coming up. We have our annual Sanders Supper. It is Sunday, September 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. We're going to have a dinner and a bunch of speakers. It's going to be at Two Brothers Roundhouse in Aurora. And to get tickets for that, you just go to actblue.com/donate/Sanders Supper 2026. And you can get tickets there or go to our website to find the link for that is illinoisprogressives.org, like Lynn said. And the only other thing is I just wanted to list a few of our other candidates that we're supporting. And we are supporting Ben McAdams for the 24th State Senate District, Jared Plugger for the 42nd State Senate District, Demi Palachek for the 13th State Rep District. And then we have a few different county board races around the state. We have Christopher Espinoza for DuPage County Board, Jesse Gutierrez for DuPage County Board, Phil Salagi for Kane County Board, and Miguel Valente for Sangamon County Board. So,
Wow, that is quite a list of endorsements. Sounds like you guys have been busy and you know what you're looking for. And I think it's awesome that you have a vetting process for progressives, so we can make a change from the bottom to the top.
Can I just add too that, yeah, I just want to add really quickly too that we meet once a month, and it is a good place to come meet candidates and hear them speak. so you can get to know them better and help spread the word. So thank
What,
you.
when's your next meeting?
Our next meeting is it August 17th?
August
It's the third
17th.
Monday. Third Monday
Third Monday?
at the St. Charles Library.
Yeah,
St.
it's
Charles
very easy to
Library?
get to. Very easy to get to. I was really impressed with the last meeting I attended there.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, 8:44, and thank you both of you for joining us, Maggie and Lynn. It's always a pleasure. I love the name Illinois Progressives, and I don't know if you guys have been following what is happening in the 97th district over here, where I am with Harry Benton and the mess that he landed into, and Chris Welch, who is trying to, welch out of this mess himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
said.
these people need to be held accountable. I'm so sorry. I mean, I ran with Harry for the village board in 2019, so I know Harry very well. And the Inspector General's report has just come out. I don't know if you guys have read that or not. It is shameful.
Yes.
And the Republicans are jumping on them. Oh, these are how the Democrats are. Yeah, look at your own wheelhouse, man. Look at what your president is and who your president is. We got a convicted felon as our president, and the Republicans are jumping on a state rep position over here, saying, "Oh, bad, so bad." Okay, 8:45. Actually, it's 8:46. We are gone a minute over. I want to welcome Dr. Salman Sagarwala to the Lightning Strike. If you could please unmute yourself and let us see who you are in person. Okay,
Hi, good morning.
I see.
Welcome.
I see you now. Okay, good morning and welcome to the Lightning Strike, Dr. Sagarwala. We've got our whole team over here. Melinda Patino is actually Mike Patino, Chris Hilbert, and we had our guest joining us today for our District Watch segment, Maggie Wonderly and Lynn Casey Maher from the Illinois Progressives. Maggie is the chair with two legs only, okay, no four legs. We discussed that, right, Maggie?
Two-leg chair.
Okay, chairperson actually. Jokes aside, folks, this is your show, okay? This is not a commercially produced show. We don't have any commercial sponsors. We don't take corporate sponsors. We talk to you directly, people to people. Dr. Sagarwala, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name's Dr. Sagarwala. I'm the founder CEO of the Pain and Vascular Institute. We are a medical center in Fox River Grove that focuses on treatment of a lot of chronic pain issues, a lot of neck, low back, and joint related pains. So a little bit about my background. So I'm a dual boarded anesthesiologist, interventional pain physician. And my partner, who should be joining here shortly, Dr. Samir Ahmad, he's a vascular interventional radiologist. And so, our practice over the years has really integrated together. We worked in different hospitals together, myself, Dr. Ahmed, and we've noticed that there generally has been quite a big void between basic conservative treatments for chronic pain. Let's take knee pain, for example. A lot of people have arthritic joints. They have that aching, throbbing sensation in their knees from time to time, and it can be quite function limiting for some folks. I'm sure a lot of your listeners may deal with some of these issues on a regular basis. And traditionally, a lot of the treatments have been from the conservative side, things like physical therapy, anti-inflammatory medications, cortisone or gel injections. And then it jumps to a total knee arthroplasty or a total joint replacement, quite an invasive surgical option. While that's still the gold standard of care for arthritis of the knee causing severe pain over time, a lot of folks really are not keen on jumping to that, big open invasive surgery. There's a long recovery time afterwards. A lot of younger folks in their 40s or 50s may have to take time off from work. And then we know that these implants only last a finite period of time, maybe 10, 15 years, and then you have to have a revision joint replacement. So specifically, one therapy that we've really been early adopters of is called musculoskeletal embolization. For the knee, specifically, this is called genicular artery embolization.
I got a question
And
for you over here.
yeah, sure.
Okay, why do you guys come up with these long-sounding scientific names? Why just say knee pain?
Yeah, I wish if it was up to me, I would have
Okay.
come up with something much simpler.
And I
Uh,
guess Dr. Samir Ahmad has joined us, and
oh,
I
fantastic.
just renamed him so that we get to see who he is. But please continue.
Sure. So we were just talking a little bit about embolization treatment for knee pain. Now, this is a way that we can actually turn down inflammation in the joint without having to repeatedly inject a steroid into that joint.
That's good. Yeah.
This is how this works is when you have inflammation in a joint, you get these chemicals that are released that actually lead to sprouting of new blood vessels to supply that area. We call this, another big long word, neovascularization or formation of new blood vessels into the area. And what this does is these new blood vessels actually serve as conduits or pathways for more inflammatory chemicals to get into that joint and cause those signs of inflammation, the achy, throbbing pain, the swelling, maybe there's a little redness, change in coloration of the joint. And with embolization, we're able to get into these small little blood vessels and inject a certain medicine called an embolic, which actually collapses or prunes away these small microscopic blood vessels that just serve or feed inflammation into the joint while leaving the normal blood flow to the joint alone. Now, this procedure or this technique has been out for about a decade or so. We've been doing it for the past 7 years, and the data that we have thus far has been exceptional. Our success rate is about 70 to 80%, and the duration of relief is not in the weeks or months. It's generally in the 2 to 5 year mark.
Wow.
So this is a long-term durable treatment option that we have evidence to support in medical journals. And most insurance companies do cover this for patients. Medicare and commercial payers will cover this treatment option. The challenge has been that not a lot of individuals and even healthcare providers are not even aware that this is a treatment option available. So that's been a big challenge and hurdle for us, really, just getting out the knowledge that this is an option available and we have durable kind of evidence to support it. And on top of that, it doesn't burn any bridges for you. Once you have a knee replacement, you can't go back from that. That tissue has been operated on. With embolization, you can still pursue other treatments if you so choose. Maybe it's a cortisone injection or gel injection, or maybe down the line you do want to pursue something surgical. It doesn't preclude you from any other options, which I think is very important to note. It's also a very safe procedure. Okay, the risk of complications is less than 2%. It's extremely rare for any adverse effect in all the data that we have looked at this last several years.
Okay, so it's so wonderful to hear this because you know and I know that the third leading cause of death in America is medical negligence or medical intervention.
Sure.
And for someone to come in and say there is like a 2% chance of something not really going according to plan, that is awesome. Why is this not being discussed in medical conferences across the nation? Why are doctors being resistant? Is it because they make more money replacing knees than having to do this?
Well, there always are some, ulterior motives. Our healthcare system is a fee-for-service system. So, these bigger surgeries and bigger interventions certainly do pay more to the hospital or facility and such. But I think generally the limitations have been lack of knowledge and understanding of some of these treatment options. These have been around for about the past decade, but a lot of the data has been coming from Japan. They have been the first country that's actually utilized this technique, written the papers, published, and shown the outcomes.
Yeah, I think because Japan is not, their FDA is not paid by these people. Most of the FDA members are people who are lobbyists who go back and who have been paid by these pharmaceutical companies, and they come and sit on the FDA. Yeah, Japan does not have that, so no wonder the information is coming from Japan.
Yeah, a lot of innovative medical techniques do come from Japan, even with endoscopic spine surgery, endoscopic spine cases, which don't reimburse well in the US. But I think those are great options for spinal stenosis or back pain as well. But Embolization, I think that this has become more prominent in the last 6 to 12 months or so. In the next year or two, you will definitely hear more about this. It'll become more commonplace where you'll hear about it referred to as something akin to like a steroid injection or gel injection. Uh, Dr. Ahmed is actually one of the kind of leading pioneers of this kind of procedure. He's a principal investigator in a multi-center clinical trial, one of the largest in the world. So he can speak a little bit more about the procedure technique. We do this for other areas of joint related pain from arthritis, as well as other areas of soft tissue inflammation. So tendinopathy, plantar fasciitis, or pain in the bottom of the foot, a few different areas.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that, Dr. Sagarwala. And we got Dr. Ahmad on, looking fresh on Sunday morning. And the format that we have started now with this Zoom format is so unique. We are the only show in the entire country who's doing this. So we get to have a nice video of our guests. We get to see them, look them in the eye and ask tough questions. And the audio is going directly to the station transmitters, and you're being heard all over the Chicagoland area and worldwide on the Heartland Signal website, and of course on our Facebook page also. So Dr. Ahmed, welcome to the Lightning Strike. I am Mohammed Faheem. We got our team of Chris Hilbert, Mike Patino, Ms. Hernandez, and in the second hour we'll have Congresswoman Murray Newman and Maria Muzaffar joining us to discuss things as to what is happening in our country. But if you can please continue the conversation. And folks, if you want to join the conversation, we got about, you guys mind staying with us for another 10 minutes? Because we do take a station break for the NBC News at the top of the hour. But our Facebook Live continues, and we can have this conversation being recorded that we can play back on other media also. So, educate us, Dr. Ahmed.
Thanks for having us. So I want to introduce myself briefly. I'm Dr. Samir Ahmad. I just give you a little bit of background. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, went to medical school at Johns Hopkins, and then did my internal medicine training at Yale. Then went back to Johns Hopkins Hospital to do my residency, and then came to Chicago. My wife is from Lincolnwood in the Chicago suburbs. So we moved to Chicago, and I did my vascular fellowship at Northwestern. And I started this center with Dr. Sagarwala because we wanted to provide innovative, minimally invasive treatments, as he's mentioned. And education is a very important part of what we do. There's a lot of patients that don't know about embolization because no one has talked about it. And like Dr. Sagarwala is saying, there's been a lot of clinical trials in Japan and now in the US at big centers, University of Chicago, at UCLA, NYU, where they've shown very consistent results with success rates over 70% and persistent results from this procedure into 2 to 5 years range. I kind of equate this to a revolution that happened in cardiology. Back in the 80s, and before the 80s, everyone was getting heart bypass, a cardiac bypass. Whenever they had a blocked blood vessel in their heart, you'd have to cut open their chest, do an open heart surgery and bypass the area of blockage. And something incredible happened in the late 80s, early 90s, where they started doing these very minimally invasive procedures where they go in through a little pinhole size incision, go all the way up to the blood vessel and open that up with balloons and stents. And I think this is a good analogy to what's happening in the treatment of arthritis and joint pain and inflammation, where we want to move away, not completely, but there are other options available besides getting open joint replacement surgery. So some of the joints and conditions that we treat, for example, for the most popular one, the one that has the most amount of clinical data and probably we've done the most amount of procedures on, is the knee, the GAE procedure. But we also do this for the shoulder for various things like frozen shoulder, which is very common, chronic rotator cuff tears that are not going to be repaired with surgery. and also for bad arthritis of the shoulder. For the elbow, one of the most common procedures that I do is for tennis elbow and golfer's elbow, which is also known as medial and lateral epicondylitis. For the hip, we do it for bursitis and arthritis. And as Dr. Sagarwala mentioned, we also do it for plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendinopathy. And the general idea, like he's mentioned, it's basically turning down the inflammation and resetting the clock. So when you were younger, your arthritis was not as severe. You know, you had some inflammation in your joint. If you had a tough day, like you played sports or you worked out or what have you, but you would rest, your body would reset, your body would be able to get rid of the inflammatory chemicals that have accumulated in your joint space. And the next day you would feel a lot better, or 2 days later you'd feel a lot better. But these inflammatory chemicals cause these abnormal pathways, these abnormal blood vessels to form over time, and they increase over time. So over decades, the amount of chemicals that are getting into your joint space has significantly increased, and your body can't get rid of those chemicals fast enough. Therefore, your arthritis worsens and your symptoms are also a lot worse. Your pain, swelling, discomfort, limiting your range of motion. So what we're doing here is basically breaking that cycle, resetting the clock, so as if you had the pathways of a much younger version of yourself, where now your body gets a little bit of inflammatory chemicals and you're able to wash it away, and it's as if you set back the clock several decades.
You know, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense because my main criticism of the medical establishment and the medical facility, I've got 8 doctors in my immediate family, okay? I almost became one when I was going to college. They're always practicing medicine. I mean, if I go to a auto garage and say, I'm practicing putting brakes on your car, sir, I'm not going to go back to them again. But it is all about just masking the pain, not getting to the bottom of it like what you guys are trying to do, is understanding the physiology behind it, not just the pharmacology aspect that other medicines are doing. They tamp down the pain, and then the pain comes right back. Okay, we're going to increase, from 2 ibuprofens to 4 ibuprofen every 4 hours. That is not treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is something that's been a big shift in pain management in the space overall, where we're moving away from, simply masking the pain with medications, whether it's opioids or other medications, steroid injections that can work very temporarily, and trying to understand the pathophysiology and address the root cause of the symptoms. Fixing it with embolization, decreasing the blood flow to the joint, or other interventions that we're doing for the spine as well, ways that we can decompress the lumbar spine without removing too many of the vital soft tissue structures that are actually important for the stability of the spine, and allowing patients to have improvements of some of the symptoms from compressed nerves without having to undergo things like spinal fusions that have their own can of worms with quite a high failure rate over time.
Yeah, your body is very smart, right? So the less foreign material you put into the body, the better it does. And the more foreign material you put in, the worse it does, right? So that's why a lot of these open procedures where you're putting in large prosthetics, etc., may not be the best thing for the body. These are the procedures that the ones that we're talking about, they basically are minimally invasive, and there's less foreign material put into the body, and it allows the body to heal itself.
You're talking my language. This is what I have been advocating. I know that you guys have just come on with us, but a few weeks back, I had a complete rant in my monologue on when you go to the doctor, the first thing that they ask you is, do you need a refill? And I wrote a Substack article on this. Not as to what your diet is, have you been exercising, none of those things. Do you need a refill? Okay? When God made us and sent us down on this earth, there's a verse in the Quran, guys, which says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, that I made man in the best of best possible things imaginable. We don't come down with all of these things. We mess ourselves up by our diet and our social interactions, all of those things. Medical science just masks these things, and the pain comes right back. I'm so glad you guys are doing it. A couple of quick questions before Congresswoman Marie Newman joins us. How do you do this procedure? I mean, is it through a targeted on-site injection, or how do you do this? If I have a frozen shoulder, for example, how do you do it?
Dr.
So it's done in a very minimally invasive way. So for example, for the shoulder, we would make a little tiny hole in the skin right around your wrist area. It's so small you can't really see it. At the end of the day, you go home with a Band-Aid. And all the procedures that I've described for whether it's the knee, the hip, the shoulder, it's done in a very similar way. Just the access point is a little different. So for the shoulder, for example, we go in through a little blood vessel in your wrist. We use our very microscopic, tiny tools to visualize the blood vessels around your shoulder with our special camera. We go into those abnormal blood vessels that we've discussed, and we inject a very safe medicine that specifically cuts off the blood supply to the abnormal blood vessels and preserves the normal circulation throughout your shoulder joint, which significantly decreases those pathways that are bringing in the inflammatory chemicals, the bad agents, into the shoulder joint. At the end of the procedure, you just have a little Band-Aid. You go home the same day. This is all done under what we call conscious sedation. So you get a little bit of medicine to make you feel like you're getting a good night's sleep. Dr. Sagarwala, who is a dual board certified anesthesiologist and pain doctor, he is actually our anesthesiologist on site for all of our procedures. They're done at our outpatient vascular, state-of-the-art vascular facility. And this is also something that's unique to our specialty. There's almost no other outpatient center that provides full anesthesia and vascular care at one site. So at the end of the procedure, you just have a little Band-Aid. You go home the same day. Your recovery is immediate. We tell you resume all your normal activities. This is not like a joint replacement surgery where you have to undergo months of physical therapy, you have to be on bed rest and all this stuff. No, you resume all your normal activities. In fact, the more active you are, the better results you get with the procedure. And the patients typically tell us within 2 to 4 weeks, they're feeling, significant relief of their symptoms. And what I tell patients is that by week 8, you should get the maximum result from your procedure, and that result should last you at least a year, if not 2 to 5 years.
That's
Oh,
so
that's so
awesome,
cool.
especially with an aging population that we have. We've got a couple more minutes to go, and I want to bring in my team of Mike Patino and Chris Hilbert. Chris, you just wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just a quick question. For those in other states, is there somebody, how do we find somebody local to where we live
Yeah, Chris
instead of
joins us from Dallas,
Texas?
Texas, actually. So that's why she's asking that question.
And I'm of what do they call it? A woman of a certain age. So, I've got a damaged shoulder here that might help my shoulder. So I'm very interested in somebody local
Yeah, stop
that
wrestling
can
with your
help me.
husband,
And I'm sure other
Lynn.
people also want to know, how do we find somebody like you guys locally? Is there a website that has a list of people doing this embolization procedures?
Chris, you flew up for our dinner the other day on Wednesday, so
Yes.
you can fly up to get your shoulder fixed.
Well, I know, but
Okay.
time,
Well, let's let the
time.
doctors answer that question. Please go ahead, guys.
Not
Yeah, I don't
everybody
know if
can
Dr.
fly to
Med maybe
Chicago.
has more insight to this, but it's something that is not done as commonly as you would expect. It's been becoming more common the last 12 months or so.
Right.
And what was really unique is that our practice is quite unique, even across the country. There are really not many. I can't think of any in Chicagoland area where there's a collaboration with interventional pain and vascular interventional radiology that's actually able to screen and diagnose these patients properly, and actually offer those treatment options under one roof.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
so it is quite unique, but Dr. Med can speak more to, finding any kind of local provider for these treatments.
Yeah, I think the things to look out for, Chris, would be one, you want it to be done by a board certified interventional radiologist like
Right.
myself. You want it to be done by someone that you actually see in clinic, someone that you go to see, and they are the ones who are going to be doing the procedure, and they explain it
This
to
is
you.
Chicago's
And
Progressive Talk, 820 AM,
Okay, we're coming back
WCPT.
on the radio, so they just jump in without telling me. You, Mr. Dillon, you should be telling me this. Okay.
Dylan,
Congresswoman Murray Newman has also joined us. Good morning, Murray.
Good morning. How is
Okay.
everyone today?
Oh, we have had such a wonderful
good,
conversation
thank
with
you.
these two doctors. I am usually not impressed with the medical professionals because they're always practicing medicine, okay? These guys have impressed me with what they're trying to do. It's almost like having a stent put in, right? That's what you're describing as to how the medication works. Uh, it is just unbelievable. Uh, we want more people to know about this. We On our show we don't take any commercial advertising, but we might take an ad from you guys and start running it because more people need to be aware of this. And
It's
when we
amazing.
do something on the radio, we go back and put these on 6 different socials so people can go back and listen to the messages. And it takes a while before it starts getting into people's brain. Like, I had 4 people that I know in my immediate family who went in for hip replacement and knee replacement surgeries recently. I wish I had known you guys earlier. Murray, these guys are doing things which are unbelievable. Before your guest joins us,
Sure.
I want you to hear them recap what we have been talking about. You guys want to recap in the next couple of
Please,
minutes, and then we go
please.
with our rest of the segment here.
Dr. Med, you want to give a little recap for
yeah,
embolization?
sure. So basically, what we're talking about is a unique, minimally invasive procedure. It's been around for about, over a decade now, and it's called embolization, and more specifically, genicular artery embolization for the knee. Embolization is basically a technique where you go into abnormal blood vessels and stop the blood flow to the abnormal blood vessels. What happens with arthritis and bad joint disease, for example, in the shoulder, the hips, the knees, your body develops abnormal blood vessels which act as pathways for inflammatory chemicals, bad agents to get into that joint space.
Yeah.
Once these chemicals get in, they cause worsening of the arthritis, but they also cause your symptoms, pain, swelling, discomfort. They limit your range of motion. And there's also a feedback loop that causes more of these pathways to form, more of these abnormal blood vessels to form over time. So you can imagine you're stuck in this bad cycle and the pathways are increasing over time. And therefore your arthritis is worsening, your symptoms are worsening, and you're stuck in this bad cycle. So what we do is in a very minimally invasive way, with an incision the size of a pinhole, something you can't really see, you just put a Band-Aid over. We go in, we find these abnormal blood vessels, we inject a special medicine that specifically cuts off these abnormal pathways and preserves the normal circulation in your joint. And what that does is it basically resets the clock. The inflammatory chemicals significantly decrease in your joint space. Your arthritis slows down, and you get significant pain relief, less pain, swelling, discomfort, increased range of motion. And the success rate of this procedure is very high. It's about 70% in all the clinical trials that have been done throughout the world. And the results are very persistent. So you can get up to 2 to 5 years of pain relief. And if needed, you can have this procedure repeated. Just in case you fall into that 30% where the procedure doesn't work for you, it also doesn't preclude you from getting any other type of treatment, whether it's steroid injections, gel injections, joint replacement, etc. But this has become a very popular option, and not a lot of people know about it yet, but it's becoming very popular for the treatment of bad arthritis in the shoulders, the elbow, hips, knees, and even for plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendinopathy.
Oh my gosh. That sounds great. Can you do it multiple times? Meaning, like, let's say it does the pain revisits after 3 years. Can you do it, 5 times over the span of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually great for patients who are younger, who are trying to avoid a joint replacement, because we know
Right.
joint replacement only has a finite life, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to last you 10 to 15 years. If you're a runner, you're in your early 40s or late
Mm.
30s, and now you have bad arthritis of your knee, you get that joint replaced. We're all living up into like our 70s and 80s now, right? If not
Right.
more, you're going to need that joint replaced maybe 2 to 3 times, right? So
Yeah.
this can buy you several years before you need that joint replacement. It's also for elderly patients who are, either too sick or are not good candidates to have a joint
Right.
replacement. And it's great for people in the middle. Like most of our patients are in the middle where they're middle aged, they're still working, don't want to be off from work for months at a
Yeah.
time, and they
What is
want
the
to avoid a
recovery on
major
it, doctor?
procedure. I'm sorry?
What is the recovery period on that?
Immediate. So basically, it's an
Oh,
outpatient procedure.
Yep.
You walk in, you walk out, and we tell you to resume all your normal activities the next day.
wild, wild.
Yeah.
That is
So
life
that
changing.
yeah,
Yep.
so I was actually equating it to, in the 80s, there was this big shift from getting open heart surgeries to getting coronary, angiograms with angioplasty and stenting.
Right.
That is the type of shift, kind of like this
Yeah.
monumental shift that's happening from getting major joint replacement surgeries every time you have some arthritis to getting these minimally invasive procedures that can provide great pain relief for years.
Yeah. Well, that sounds revolutionary and changes the game forever because that is the recovery period. I actually have a friend who is getting his knees replaced next week, and or one knee, and then another. My sister had them done at both time and the same time, which is unusual, right? Um, and it did help her because she got beyond it because she was worried about if she did one, the recovery was so long she wouldn't do both.
Right.
So it solves a lot of people's problems in terms of working and recovery and all of that. So thank you so much. It looks like my guest is here, so I'm going to thank both the doctors
Yep.
and
Thank you
Mohammed.
so
Thank
much.
you for bringing them on. This is important, so we will
I'm
talk
telling
about this
you,
again.
Marie, this is such important information. I wish more people would get to know this, and
Yeah.
we
Oh my
want you guys
gosh.
to come back and do some things regularly to educate people over here because this is so important for us, not just as consumers, but the medical establishment does not want to promote it because, hey, you know what? Knee replacements make more money for the hospitals.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you both for joining us, and we will be in touch. And I want to welcome Daniel Spada to the Lightning Strike. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be with you all.
Good morning, Alderman. So, welcome to Ignore at Your Risk segment where we talk about things that are not always talked about in the news. I'm so pleased this morning to have Alderman Daniel Espada from the First Ward of Chicago. And folks, we try to pepper it up here on our show so that you see how government is implemented at the local level, municipal, et cetera, county, as well as the federal level, because everybody forgets that local government does the yeoman's work of implementation and really understanding the problem at a very granular level. So that's what we are going to endeavor to do today is talk a little bit about that with Alderman Laspada from the First Ward. So a little bit about Daniel before we dive in. He was a community organizer working to expand housing, well-known urban planner, and a dad. Well, welcome, Daniel.
Thank you. Yes, I have an involuntary co-host with me, but
Oh,
really glad to be
awesome.
with you all. Yeah.
I usually have an involuntary opinionated beagle with me, so it's all good. So I'm sure. Hello, darling. How are you?
We're on the radio right now. Yes.
Hi.
And video. Don't forget the video
Yeah.
The
part.
video too.
Adorable.
Yep, this is going to be video, and that's going to be there forever. That when she grows up, she can see how she looked on video.
There you go. And tell everybody that. That's
Okay, good,
and we'll
buddy.
bring her back when we need extras for sure.
Yeah.
So Daniel, I thought we'd get right to it. Tell us a little bit about your ward, where the First Ward is, kind of the composition, things that are going on there.
So the first word, okay, that's your strikes 1, 2, and 3. I'll see you in a little bit. The first word is on the northwest side of Chicago. Think of it as about a third of the way to O'Hare Airport. It's
Mhm.
the neighborhoods roughly of Logan Square, Wicker Park, Humboldt Park, and Westtown.
Right. Great. And then what's kind of the biggest challenge for you in your ward?
I would say the biggest challenge is that the overall high median income of the first ward and overall the growth in wealth that the ward on average has experienced masks a great deal of disparity. A challenge in Chicago is that we use zip codes as proxies for desperation. But that means that in wards that are as diverse as the first ward is, that have a lot of long-time lower income residents, a lot of residents who live in subsidized and affordable housing, their needs often are lost in the discussion around how we provide services and investment in Chicago. And so making sure everyone from residents making $8,000 a year to $800,000 a year, balancing those needs, I think, is the hardest challenge.
Yeah. Well, and it's the tale of America right now. It's the haves and the have-nots. And we know now numerically that we are in a Gilded Age because it's the same disparity we had during the Gilded Age, 1890 through 1915. So, this is not a joke, and you're on the front line of it. So that's why we like bringing the older people in to talk about these things. So let's talk about kind of the biggest expense most people have, housing. So can you talk writ large what Chicago has done, either the same or is different? Because a lot of cities are embarking upon innovative things, but you're right there in the neighborhood. So can you tell us about what you've done in the ward and what the city council is doing writ large?
That's a great question. So at once, we know that there's a lot of conversation around the supply side of housing. Housing supply isn't everything, but the least affordable housing unit is the one that doesn't exist. And so we've done a lot to prevent the demolition of useful housing, to encourage density on our blocks. The first ward in this Northwest Side pilot area is the only area in the city where you can build a 2-flat by right on any standard lot. I also was the author of legislation that eliminated parking minimums close to transit in Chicago that we passed last year. Was really proud of that. And in the middle of it, we work on projects that are 20%, 50% affordable housing. We actually worked with the land trust in our area on a 6-flat that is 100% affordable, 100% home ownership, and also zero emission. That's the kind of project that I love to work on.
Right. Well, I love to hear that because part of it is, right? Like, let's not keep throwing away housing that's perfectly good. We can make it better and more green and more affordable, but let's not throw it away because the answer for much of the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, let's just, plow that right down, and that's not a good answer most of the time. I do have an aside question. Is the land bank still around, Daniel?
The Cook County Land Bank is, I'm referring also to a land trust. So the Here to Stay Land Trust on the Northwest side, shout out to them and Kristen Horn, their executive director, take up either parcels that have been donated, homes that have been donated, fix them up, and then they maintain the ownership of the land, but you then become a limited equity homeowner at rates that usually are a quarter, a third of what it takes to buy a home in our community. And also, usually a third of the cost of building affordable rental housing.
So national rates don't affect their rate at all.
They're doing fantastic in terms of their per unit total development cost, construction costs. Yeah.
And that's part of the problem, right? Is that the cost of goods is so high right now, with this administration that, the supply chain is slower, which automatically makes your costs more expensive. And then getting something done and making all the commitments to the bank and to all of the other people, because you have to stay on schedule, right? So that's great to hear. And I'm thrilled to hear that right in your ward. So shifting our attention, every alder person I've ever talked to, one of their number 2 on their list is always safety and security of their ward. So tell us a little bit about, because I keep seeing the legitimate numbers in the city across all 50 wards. it looks like violence is waning. But then when you talk to my friends in the city, it's like, oh dear Lord, I mean, it's a big difference. So tell us what's really going on.
So I think I think perception lags after data.
Right.
Like
Always.
in the first ward over the last 4 years, robberies are down about 56%. Carjackings are down 70, 80%. There's no point in me saying that at your door, because if you don't feel that,
Right.
if it doesn't feel that way walking down the street, going to the car, why are we talking about numbers? And thankfully, we're at a place where the feeling has caught up largely with the
Good.
data,
Good.
but this work has to continue. So, the work we do around community violence intervention, the fact that we have a great new workforce development agency called ASI in the ward at Armitage and Rockwell that is taking young people who want to figure out the rest of their lives and helping them with a pre-apprenticeship program so they can get into the stable jobs of the construction trades. All of that, including our police officers, including wise policies, that is the broad ecosystem of violence prevention that we're building in Chicago. And it really is working.
Outstanding. When, those are the things, right? Is that perception thing is a big deal. And I do see change even in perception. I see the data all the time on the city. We had the mayor here several weeks ago to talk about that, how do we get people to realize that, wow, you are at least 50% safer across most metrics, and things are going better. And so I'm thrilled to hear in the first ward, people are starting to feel it. So that's great. And then I had a funny thing happen about the first ward. I was talking to a friend on Friday, said, hey, I'm having Alderman LaSpada on, and she said, you know what I love? And do you do some type of meet and greet on Milwaukee Avenue? She was describing it was like out in the open. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we call it Meet Me on Milwaukee. It's a collaboration between my office and the Wicker Park Bucktown Chamber of Commerce. We did this for a 3-day cycle last year. We're bringing it back, where essentially we open up Milwaukee Avenue from Damon all the way to Ashland, about a 3/4 of a mile stretch, all to people on bikes, pedestrians, strollers. And since all of our neighbors are in the street, we give over the sidewalk to all of our businesses. And so it's community meeting commerce. Last year, over the last Sunday of August, September, and October, we had about 40,000 people come out. It was wildly successful. And I think it proves out people don't just want to be, ironically, on screens. They don't just want to be at home. They want to be with each other.
Have community.
And when we create those spaces, and when we let people experience their neighborhood in a new way, that is valuable both culturally and economically.
Yeah, when those things work well, because you can promote it in a digital way, right, on social media, and then have an analog experience, right? It's a beautiful thing. I do, before we let you go, Daniel, I'd love to talk about ICE for a minute. I think that it gets less coverage in the media, even though there are people are being detained and unlawful things are going on everywhere, not just in your ward. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing to combat the unlawful behavior of ICE.
It is beyond distressing when you wake up, when you watch during the day about their presence in our neighborhoods, when you read about neighbors who have been abducted in broad daylight. ICE, sadly, has gotten smarter in their tactics. They know not to blow up their own spot on social media. They know not to be loud about it, because when they're not loud about it, they count on us not paying attention. And I'm really grateful for all of the First Ward residents and residents of the city in general who are out there on patrol, watching out for these folks, making sure they defend their neighbors, making sure they know their rights, both as observers and for those potentially being abducted. but it is gross and heinous and counter to the values of our country, but also counter to the needs of our country. Like, we will not thrive in the long term as America without strong immigration. And we need to recognize that, I would say, at every single level of government.
Well, I'm glad you do, and it is important. And go team First Ward, man. Sounds like the folks are knitted together well there, and we appreciate your time, and we hope you come back sometime.
Well, Mike has his hand raised. I think Mike has a question.
Sure, go ahead, Mike.
For the alderman.
How you
Go
doing,
ahead,
Alderman? Thanks for coming on the show. You mentioned, I'm going to go back to what you stated, that you think the crime rate is going down. Do you attribute that to anything the mayor's doing? Because he seems to be under attack for not doing anything about crime, and I just wanted your take on it. And what do you think? What do you attribute that to? The better stats that Marie was recognizing, that the data that's coming out.
So it's one thing to look at national trends, but when we see crime rates in Chicago that are the lowest in decades, you have to attribute that to doing something new, which is just what we've done in Chicago. We have not just made one-year investments in community violence intervention and youth jobs and economic opportunities. We've made those investments consistently over the last 5 years. So credit where it's due there. I think what troubles me, and what I don't think the mayor has put out a strong defense for, because oftentimes I would say it's indefensible, is having folks who are the authors of those investments, like Gary and Gatewood, walk out the door. I think Gary was an invaluable partner. I'll say that specifically in my work. I am troubled by the timing of Police Superintendent Snelling's departure, because we need stability. We need institutional knowledge. We need relationships. I think the success of community violence intervention is grounded in those three things. And so we need to keep those investments going. We also need to recognize the need for stable leadership in that space.
Well, thank you so much. That is Alderman Daniel Laspada joining us on the Lightning Strike this morning, folks. And thank you, Marie, for bringing such great guests. And this is what it's all about, folks. It's 9:31, 9:32 actually. We are a little bit into Maria's segment. But Maria, good morning, welcome. And Dan, you're welcome to stay on and listen to the rest of the show if you don't have anything better to do. But if you have better things to do, which I saw in your lap a few minutes back, so
she wants me to get her to the Nature Museum. I'll throw this in real quick to the 30 to 40-year-old runners, and there's a 45-year-old runner. I'm one of them. Foam roll in the morning, static stretches in the morning. Game changing for me. Game changing.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much for joining us. Maria, good morning. Where is the echo chamber that we are looking at today? Which one are you going to address? I started off by talking in my rant about the importance of independent media and the panel discussion that we had at the dinner. We continued the conversation over here on the radio today in the morning. And we had two great guests, Dr. Samir Sagarwala and Dr. Ahmad. I mean, they blew my mind away. You should go back and listen to what they were saying, Maria, and especially about the current conditions of the medical industry. And these guys are revolutionizing the whole thing. Go ahead, please.
Well, first of all, I don't consider any of your monologues rants. So I'll categorize it that way. I will go back and listen to the show. I think that there are two interesting things that are happening that came up as major headlines today, just so you know, which is kind of demonstrative of where we are in the way we are handling major crisis. So number one is that a case was dropped against the vandalizing of the pool at the National Mall. I don't know if you know about that,
Oh
which is
yeah,
pretty
Janine Pirro, but
Amazing.
Trump is beating
Jennifer.
down on her. Like, how did you do it? Why did you do it? Okay.
I know, but it is demonstrative of just a misplacement of priorities also, and I think that that's what we actually have to see is where are all of our efforts and where are all of our attention, and that demonstrates itself in the hierarchies of the policies that we are seeing, and I think. Going back to what the alderman was saying, the reason why we have seen for years actually community driven community safety programs that are driven, but it's such an interesting concept because the community safety policing is a priority that the community has put on, and then we have policies and administrations talking about the fact that somebody has vandalized the pool, and I think it just shows you that when we put all our efforts into solving our problems as community members ourselves, we have elected officials that can partner with us, things go so much further because this is where we are at. The other thing, of course, is the ICC. I don't know if you dealt into that today, but the reality is that stripping away the power and the legitimacy of the ICC. And I think that is phenomenal for us to see that our own representatives, our own government is processing the ability to strip away any type of authority on the ICC because of who they have identified as an issue. Of course, the most problematic for the administration is Netanyahu, right? And the defense that is made to strip away the authority is that it would be very dangerous for American soldiers. And I think that kind of fear tactic and mixing of policies and morality and what our soldiers are supposed to do is what's really confusing for the public and trying to confuse the public. I would say I think the public is much smarter than that, because I think the reality is if we go back to Abu Ghraib, what we saw there, and we saw the pictures and the videos of Abu Ghraib, and you have questions about that, and you have questions of how things like this could happen on the watch of U.S. military personnel, you understand that nobody should be operating in an aspect where there are no rules. And that goes for foreign policy in all aspects, and specifically the role of the US government. And so I find it so interesting, and I want to break the echo chamber on this, is to use the military to say, listen, and this is what Secretary Rubio actually stated as an official statement, is that the reason why we are so concerned about the ICC issuing warrants is that now U.S. military can travel the world with their families and be arrested somewhere because of what they did as a war crime. Well, I think it really skips the step initially of what makes an international war crime and who is responsible for an international war crime. International war crime exists because there are governments that allow the violation of international law that are executed and implemented by human beings. The many times are soldiers. And even if they are taking orders, they are soldiers that are executing a policy. Do they have complete immunity? And there are cases within the tribunals where these are addressed. But if you strip away the ICC because you don't like who they're considering a violator of international law, you have taken away all authority to hold soldiers accountable, which 100% the US military wants. They want to hold soldiers accountable that are delegitimizing their authority to be able to do what they need to do. So taking away the process of holding soldiers accountable, I think is a really dangerous game, because soldiers themselves need to protect themselves with policies and code of conduct. So that's very, very important. But I think what's also important is that the ICC now is in this position where what you see as the global message of who considers ICC important are the people and the countries, and actually, if you look at the global south, that understand the issues that have existed with the violations of international law. But the powers that be, for so-called, that are getting issued these warrants are the ones that have a problem with it. So the reality is this a way to delegitimize an international body that could hold you in violation of international law only because you are now the suspect and the accused? And what does that mean about the authority of the United States when we're advocating for human rights all across the world. This is what's the duplicity of this issue, right? As a government and as an administration, and even before this administration, for so many years, the United States has championed human rights across the world, democracy around the world, and we all know that it's been used and misused many, many times to be able to have states, make moves and decide on economic terms that are beneficial to the United States. So it has been misused. And for anyone that would argue that that is not the case, I think this is what you need to look at this moment right now. If it's not being used in this way, then why is the ICC under target? Of course, the simple reason is because they have issued an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu, and Israel is an ally. But it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper to the fact that the delegitimization of a body that could ever hold you accused, ever hold you accountable, is the only way that we can deal with international law. We use it when we want to use the words of human rights to control other states, to have them respond in a way that is beneficial to us, but we will not be held accountable to anybody. Now, that in simple terms means we get to do whatever we want. But what that means on the ground is that there is no authority to have a code of conduct in war of any sort. Now, for many of you who have already seen the Geneva Convention or any other human rights charters, you will see there are rules. There are rules for livestock. There are rules for senior citizens. There are rules for nature. There are rules for trade embargoes. And all of these things actually have a role when we are protecting civilians. So when we start using this type of strategy where we're saying our soldiers are in attack, and that's why we have to protect them because the ICC is going to come after our soldiers, you are dishonoring the soldiers because there are many soldiers that will say this is why tribunals exist and this is why we want to make sure that we weed out any processes or any individuals that are misusing authority to be able to protect I would say sins, honestly, sins in other ways. So I think that's very important. And I think when we see the ICC, the question arises, where does the public, where do United States citizens see the ICC's role, right? And we don't use the ICC unless it really demonstrates for us that it actually protects Americans. And I would say that if you want to protect the security of Americans, if you want to protect the security of Americans as they travel abroad, then what should be consistent is where we stand as a government and a nation on international law. And that means including respecting their bodies and respecting their authority. Now, I know that the discussion has been, and it kind of is a sensationalized discussion about arresting Benjamin Netanyahu when he's in New York City. That's a sensationalized version of this argument. But what it really, really means is, do we consider any type of accountability from anyone? And why that's so important for us to answer is because we will not have authority to hold anyone accountable for anything if we don't hold ourselves accountable. And that means on the international stage. So I think moving forward, for me, watching the ICC and how the United States demonstrates its role and its respect for the ICC is going to be critical to understand how we want to be positioned on the international stage.
Well, Maria, thank you so much. I think great points. We go around the world saying that, oh, we are the upholders of human rights. And when it comes to our so-called ally, oh, all bets are off the table. No, this guy can do no wrong. I want to bring in Marie on this. Marie, and it makes so much sense. Makes so much sense.
Yeah. Well,
what are we telling the world about it? And there is
right.
the military manual also, they have to follow certain rules and codes, and it all goes out the window.
Well, and this is the problem with having, a foreign country so enmeshed in our systems. It's just very, and it doesn't matter if it was Israel or Spain or Canada,
yeah.
right? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we just can't be merging with other sovereign states, right? Like that's just never a good idea. We are who we are, and we have to upload it. Now, as a reminder to everyone, 12 other sovereign countries have said the same thing that Mayor Mamdani has said. if you come on our land, we will arrest you. And they've been very clear. This is not new news. It's not different. So for me, if Mayor Mamdani does have Netanyahu arrested, he's following the law, and that just has to be hammered every single day to everybody. He's following the law. Everybody else is not. So, we are where we are. I think it's disgusting that we're not following the rules of the ICC like the letter of the law. We went to the bother of creating that body as an international community. Why did you create it if you're not going to follow the rules?
Well, and they're trying to come across and saying that the mayor of the city has no authority to arrest Netanyahu. And
if it were another international criminal,
table tennis game is going on, and we got to step up. We got to step up our game. It's 9:44. We are coming up to the end of Maria's segment over here. I want to use the rest of the time that we have to talk about the importance of elections, and especially what is happening in Michigan in 2 days. Okay, I want to really delve into that, and it is so important for us to understand, folks, that it is not just a Senate race in a state where AIPAC has come in with millions and millions of dollars, and not just AIPAC, but all the other corporations that fleece us day in and day out. They brought in like $60 million plus for a Senate primary. What the heck is happening in our country?
It's being overtaken by people that can buy elections. So whether it is billionaires, corporate PACs, or AIPAC, they have to be stopped. I do think that there's a big difference between even 24 and 26 elections in that voters are much more sensitized and aware of who the bad dark parties are, corporate PACs, AIPAC, what have you, and billionaires. Like, I think because they've seen the deterioration so up close and personally. So for the first time ever, I think we're hovering in the high 70s in terms of voters in America that want to stop corporate PACs, billionaires interfering in the buying of our elections by AIPAC. Now, the good news is, I just want to make one more point and I'll hand it back to you. The good news is that the more these folks hammer this stuff, the worse it gets, the worse their brand gets. So the more AIPAC tries to buy elections, the worse their brand gets and the less successful that they are. So I'm not horribly concerned about them burning down their own brands, because it only demonstrates to everybody else that this is a bad thing. So AIPAC is going to lose this fight, for sure they are, in Michigan. And they will have spent $60 million, and it'll all go down the drain. So there you go.
Well, I hope so. So we'll take a quick break for a message from our sponsors. The Halal Fest coming up this weekend in Kane County.
Looking for the ultimate family weekend this summer? Join us at Chicagoland Halal Fest 2026, August 8th and 9th at the Kane County Fairgrounds in St. Charles. Enjoy incredible halal foods from nearly 40 vendors, live entertainment, shopping, a kids zone, camel and pony rides, networking, family activities, and much more. With over 25,000 attendees expected, this is one of the Midwest's premier multicultural festivals, welcoming people of all backgrounds. Get your tickets today at thehalalgroup.com. That's TheHalalGrp.com. The Lightning Strike is proud to be a sponsor of Chicagoland Halal Fest 2026. We'll see you there.
I'll be there.
Okay, Mike.
Good food. It's going to be good food. One thing I wanted to follow up with, Marie, with the race in Michigan, I think what's interesting is still the campaign language, even so close to the election date, is between the two candidates, right? Abdul Sayed and Stevens. But what this race is actually about is, yes, we want corporate control. Yes, we want to be able to have dark money control the elections. That's actually the message that AIPAC is basically stating, like, no, 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 this is the way that
Yep.
things are going to get done. So that's, I mean, and I think I was having this conversation with a few other people yesterday, is that we know that it's a two-way race, and we know that AIPAC is putting in so much money, and we can say it's about, pro-Palestinian versus pro-Israel, but what it's really about is, no, 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 we don't want regular people having a role in the elections. We do not want to change that system. We're going to make sure that we create that pattern. And I think people are waking up to exactly that, Marie, that they're responding to the fact that we don't want our elections bought, period. That's the sentence. It's not about Stevens and Abdul Sayed. It's,
Yep.
are you going to allow people to buy your elections or not? This is what the race is about.
Well, I want to bring
and I
in,
think it's becoming clear.
Yeah, I want to bring in Chris and Mike for their take on this. It's 9:49, and we also have attorney Riz Ali, who has decided that he wants to support the show, which he did a little bit last year, and he came up to me in our event and said, I really want to start advertising. Please take my ad. Okay. So it's
We'll
so
take
good.
it.
Yeah, we will take, like I said, small businesses, not corporate advertising. So I want to take a 30-second to play a message from Riz, and then we'll go back to Mike and Chris for their input.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
Okay, let's come back to the conversation. And Mike, Chris, the mic goes to you guys now.
Well, I like to have that guy who just made that commercial put our number out there like that.
Well, here's the thing.
Very good at putting out numbers.
Mike, that commercial was voiced by Ken DeLuke, and he is sitting up there in heaven somewhere looking down on us, playing his voice on the air. He's no longer with us.
Well, that was a great number introduction. I remember that number, not our number. But,
okay. Well, I wrote the script and Ken voiced it. Okay.
I really find repugnant to a point where it's just like sickening that people like James Carville are trying to make it look like they're right. We're the corporate people. We get to tell you what you're supposed to think. We got all the money, and you people don't count. We don't want you even thinking about being the Democratic Party anymore because you're a bunch of communist progressives, and you're really anti-American, and it's ridiculous to the lengths they're going to make people feel like, oh, you might be a Democrat, but you're not our kind of Democrat, and they're making people feel terrible about this, which is really backfiring on them because people are tired of feeling terrible about this,
Right.
and they're pushing back. They're pushing back big time.
Yeah. How come the Democrats have a big tent for anti-abortionists, but not a big enough tent for FDR progressives like us?
Yeah.
That just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It's so one-sided. It's the corporation uber alles, and that has got to stop. Just a real quick thing, a couple of years ago, I saw a meme that said that 50% of the profits that mainstream media makes is from big pharma. And I'm like, that sounds fake. So I took an hour, did my, high school math, which is all I remember. And I went through and I found all publicly related information. I just typed in how much profit did they make, how much was spent, and I did all the division and the multiplication and the adding and the subtracting. And it turns out it was 50%. I think it was like 50.2 is what my math came up with. So yes, the profit, not the income, the profit of mainstream media every year is 50% of their profit comes from one group of people, big pharma. So some of that stuff that is out on social media is true. It's time consuming sometimes to get to verify it, but it's out there, and we have got to somehow reinstate the fairness doctrine and get stop letting these big corporations and industries control the narrative. Because if your 50% of your profits come from an industry, you're not fair and balanced. You're not on the side of the people. You're on the side of the corporations. You're a bought and paid for, you know what, is what you are.
Yeah, and you know
Okay, that's
something.
my rant.
Yeah, you know
Who know
something.
what?
It is
Ooh.
not just the Democrats that these corporations and APAC are buying. My
Right.
concern is that once the election, the primary is over, and God willing, Abdul wins, they are going to bring that money to his opponent on the Republican side,
Yeah.
and they will fight tooth and nail to win that seat. And
Yes.
that is a concern that these guys are all about money and nothing else. Okay, how do they benefit, regardless of, and both sides of the aisle are bought and paid for by
Yes.
these special interests, and that is a concern that I have.
Yeah. It's a big concern, and more people should be concerned. More people should be aware. And once you become aware of it, the one thing you can do is just shop local. Don't shop at the big back box stores if you don't have to. There are plenty of small businesses. And yes, you may have to pay a little bit more. And if you can afford to do so, you should to support locally. Otherwise we're all going to end up like those company houses and company stores back in the 1800s, right? We're going to
Yep.
be serfs,
I'm
glorified slaves.
I'm so glad you brought that visual into my mind. Okay, the company stores
The
where
company
you go
stores.
work your back off digging coal and all of that, and then you come and spend your money in the company store. Okay, and nowhere else.
And the company
Uh,
housing.
Yep, I'm going to go buy a cow now and start having my own milk and get some chickens and get my homemade eggs over here now. But jokes aside, folks, this is so important for our country. We got to take responsibility for our actions, get engaged, get informed. Don't just sit on the sidelines saying it's not my fight. It is our country. We've got to take it back from these special interests. It's about 4 minutes to go to finish off the show today. By the way, Maria, we are going to be physically present at the Halal Fest. We're going to set up a booth. We are going to
Oh,
have,
wonderful.
yep,
Yeah.
we're going to have
Okay,
interviews. Go ahead.
great. Great. I'll discuss it. I would love to stop by and be there as well, and that would be wonderful.
Yeah, please do, because what
Great.
we want to do is to have a physical presence so people get to see us more than just listen to us. And Mike and Riz actually, Ms. came up with the idea, hey, can we have a table over there and do a live broadcast from there? I'm like, yeah, sure, we can do it on our socials. And the organizers very kindly said, please be our guest. So, yeah, we are going to be there. So don't
Well,
forget, folks, we are going to be at the Kane County Fairgrounds this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday from noon till I don't know when the thing ends. But we're going to be there, and you can come, and we'll set up a dunk tank for Mike. So people can.
Thank you. Look forward to that.
I'm
Well,
gonna
Mike.
miss the fun.
I know you got to show up
Yep.
with that.
And on our show today, we had some great guests. We had the Illinois Progressives for our District Watch segment. Maggie Wonderly and Lynn Casey Maher were there talking about the progressive movement in Illinois and how they are trying to steer the boat away from the waters that are so dangerous out there in our country right now. We had Dr.
Yes, very
Samir
powerful stick.
and Samir Ahmad and Dr. Sagarwala as our guests to talk about advances in pain management,
And just a quick interruption, I
Go ahead,
got their
please.
website because they didn't have a chance to tell us their website.
Oh, so thank
Pretty
you.
simple. It's painvascular.com.
Thank you.
Painvascular.com.
Yeah, go
Simple.
folks, go check it out. And of course, we had Alderman Daniel Laspada as Murray's guest on the show. And Murray, if you want to quickly recap what the alderman was saying and what's happening in Chicago, and we'll end up on that with a note from Maria to end the show today.
Sounds good. I'll be brief. I think that Alderman Laspada put the nail on the head that unfortunately, perception always lags data. So we are experiencing in the city of Chicago 50% reductions in all types of crime and violence, right? So that's the good news. The bad news is that we as a Chicago community it takes us a while to feel it, but I think in some areas they are starting to feel it. So there's a lot of good news out there that the city is safer than ever. So that's a good message. And I think Alderman Laspada in the first ward, but a lot of the alder people do this, are very open to talking to their constituents. And I think that's the message, folks, is that good things happen when you tell your government officials what your needs are and be specific and keep them accountable and keep talking to them.
Okay,
So,
and Maria, we got 30 seconds to finish off the show today now.
Yeah, no, I'm a big supporter of Abdul Sayed. We've hosted 2 fundraisers for him. I'm going down to Michigan tomorrow, hopefully to be at the victory party. For anyone that you know in Michigan, family members that you know, friends that you know, this race is about a human being that has committed himself to speak truth to power. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He's a doctor. He's ran the health department in Michigan, and he's qualified to be a leader in the Senate. And the whole country should do everything that we can to support everyone we know in Michigan to represent us and get him across the finish line tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for listening. And we are at the end of our time over here on WCPT at the lightning strike. Do tune in next Sunday, same place, same time. Look forward to seeing you at the Halal Fest in Kane County Fairgrounds.
Me too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.